Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get to interview Craig Swerdloff, who is the CEO and founder of WellPut. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thanks, Johnny. Good to be here.
Yeah, I was impressed by our first conversation, and I definitely wanted to interview you because you know some things that I think we all need to know. So one thing you wanted people to know about you is that you typically do what you say you're going to do. That's important to you. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came by that ethic and why that's important to you?
Um, yeah, I think from an early age, I don't know. I always had parents who uh, were there, were present, and they basically taught me that lesson from a young kid, if from a young age. If you're gonna say you're gonna do something, then do it, and do it the right way. I think actually, as I'm talking about it, it reminds me of a story my mother once told me where she said, if you're going to put your signature on something, make sure it's good.
Man,
But I've also been held accountable. Look, we all make mistakes. Through the course of my career, I'm sure I've not done things that I said I would do. And I remember a specific instance where my current co-founder and I were starting a business. This was a really hard one, Johnny. We had a business in the hemp industry, and the business was failing. And I had basically said that I was willing to put more cash into the business, and it was a significant amount of cash at the time for me. But it was obvious to me that the business was failing. But he had made some commitments to people, based on the assumption that he was going to have that cash from me. And so I wound up putting that money into that business, knowing that that money was going away,
yeah,
because I said I was going to do it. And
yes,
that's just one of those things. He basically said, look, you said you were going to do it, and I need you to do it because I've committed to people that you're going to, and
yeah,
I did.
right. And we call that integrity, and
Yeah,
and it does not come easily. Does not, and sometimes it'll cost you,
it's
man.
painful. It's painful.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's
yeah, in the end, you can kind of feel good about the fact that you do, say you do what you say you're going to do.
yeah. Now I love that being the first thing that we learn about you, man. So can you tell me a little bit about your origin story then, and kind of how you've gotten to where you are today?
Oh, man, where does it start? Grew up in the suburbs of New York, kind of blue collar family, but a lot of love in the house. Brother and sister, who I still get along with to this day, and married a girl I met in college. I hate to say it, but I sold her a bag of weed. Is actually how I met her, uh, and we've been together ever since. Uh, but yeah, we let's see. Oh, so yeah, I graduated. I was in college and had an opportunity and needed one credit to graduate. Got offered an internship at a coffee shop doing marketing, and it turned out that this coffee shop was the first internet coffee shop in the state of Vermont, and they had 17-inch monitors and 56.6 dial-up. This was back in the mid 90s. And so yeah, for the first time, I kind of saw what this internet was about and got really excited. And so I moved back to New York after college, and got a job in the original Silicon Alley building. This was the first building in downtown New York that had high-speed internet.
Wow.
And I went to work for a company called ClickNow, which was an ad network. Yeah, it was exciting. Used to wear a suit to work every day. This was in, the advertising industry in the mid 90s. It was still, martini lunches, and it was all about the relationships. So I learned from some pretty great execs in the advertising industry in the mid 90s. Anyway, we eventually took that business and built it up, and sold it to 24/7 Media. And then that business went from, less than 100 people to over 2,000 people operating in 30 different countries. Was there through the dot com bubble burst in early 2001, and then started my own company for the first time in 2001. Um, and then really, it's I've been working on this entrepreneurial journey ever since. I've had a couple of jobs here and there, but it's been mostly me and some partners building companies from the ground up ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool, man. And then bring us home into Well put.
Yeah, so really since the late 90s, early 2000s, I've been in the advertising industry since 96, but primarily I've been focusing on the email channel since the late 90s, early 2000s. And I've been involved in companies that have tried every different advertising format that's ever been tried in the email channel, including I was on the board of advisors at Live Intent for 10 years, which, kind of created the programmatic advertising and email space. And the one thing that I kept hearing over and over again from publishers and from newsletters was that they didn't like not having control over who the advertisers were that were appearing in their newsletter. And of course, they thought they were not getting paid enough as well. That's always the case. And so we started Well Put mainly because we saw what the Morning Brew was doing about 5 years ago. Long form content newsletters designed to engage people in the newsletter itself, which was really new and novel. And then they were monetizing that through long form, natively integrated sponsorships. And these ad formats were really compelling. People read them. If you talk to people who read the Morning Brew, as an example, they'll tell you they read the ads.
Yeah.
What other ad format do people actually pay attention to?
Yeah.
So we got excited and we built WellPut to help newsletter publishers fill unsold sponsorship inventory in their newsletter, giving them control over, who the advertisers are that they want to partner with and endorse inside of their newsletter.
Very cool, man. Very cool. All right, what are some, can you give a sense for which platforms you're mainly working with?
Yeah, we work with newsletters on Substack, on Beehive, on Kit, on the various Marigold ESPs, CM and Sail Through, et cetera. So it's really a broad spectrum of publishers and newsletters across platforms.
Okay. And what about any local? I think you said you work with some traditional media. So are you also working with some of their native systems or anything like that? Or is it generally larger distribution networks?
No, we work with small newsletters that have, tens of thousands of subscribers up to large media companies like Bustle Digital and others that have millions of subscribers.
Okay.
So we're really platform agnostic. What's great about our platform is it's really intuitive and easy to use across any platform that you're on. You literally come in and see the different sponsors that are available to you based on your content and your audience. And you pick which one you want to work with. You make a reservation. You can choose from different creative templates, the one that most closely matches your style. And then you just copy and paste it into your newsletter. So there's very little tech integration.
Love it. Love it. Now back to you. What makes you good at this? What makes you good at your job? What makes you good at, being a founder and CEO of this company? What's your superpower?
Man, well, that's a good question. So I think in terms of what makes me good at this, number one, I don't think anybody in the world has more experience with advertising and email than I do.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of gray hair on my beard to prove it. If anybody wants to tell me otherwise.
Could test you.
Um, but so I think that's one. The second is I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I have made just about every mistake that somebody can make. I've been there before. I advise other CEOs, startup CEOs, and mentor people, and I just through experience have been through a lot of different types of situations that CEOs find themselves in, and so the highs are a little less high and the lows are a little less low.
Yeah.
For me, but yeah, and then I would say doing what I say I'm going to do, and then also taking really complex things and making them very simple for people to understand, I think is a skill set that I have. It's something that I'm really good at, and it often helps me as I'm trying to explain it, whether to be to investors or employees or clients.
Einstein had, I don't know if you've seen Einstein's kind of hierarchy of genius, and at the top of his hierarchy is simplicity, right? Like making things simple was the top of his hierarchy of genius. And I found it takes a lot of experience and a lot of understanding to make things simple. It's very hard to do.
Are you saying I'm like Einstein, Johnny? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think, I mean, in that sense, maybe you know, you got a lot to big shoes to fill now. You better really change the world now.
I love it.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I love your story, man, and I love the gift. And it struck me when we talked before that basically pound for pound, when it comes to monetizing the email channel, you've seen it all, right? Like your career you've spent so much time solving that problem that then it makes sense that you're sitting at the helm of a company that solves that problem, right?
Definitely. And we're not there yet. Like we haven't solved it in the way that we envision it being solved. We're just getting started. We're in inning one. But we are very committed to, seeing this thing through and really providing a really valuable service to publishers and also, by the way, to advertisers. I will say this, if you're looking at newsletters as a channel for growth, there's no better place to test your feet in the water, to dip your toe in the water than through Wellput. We just make it so easy to test lots of targeted newsletters efficiently and with limited risk for brands. And I think we're the best in the world with that.
Why should people be looking at the newsletter space? And this is a very relevant question for my publishers in traditional media because many of them have newsletters or one or sometimes multiple newsletters, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. And they're newsletters that are delivered to a very loyal, very dedicated audience. But they're not newsletter companies. And so a lot of times they haven't put the time, energy, or investment into their newsletter system or mechanism or process. But it appears to me to be one of the channels, probably one of their most lucrative future channels as we move into a world where audience has become so fragmented and first party single interaction one-to-one ratio, which happens through email, is becoming more and more precious. But I'd love to hear what you think about why newsletter is a place to double down.
Yeah, I mean, it is the case that publishers are, continuously being disintermediated from their audience. And AI is only going to make this worse, right? So, now people can find out what's happening in the world by asking an AI chatbot, and that chatbot is compiling information from lots of publishers, and the consumer is never checking the sources or
Right.
very rarely checking the sources of that data.
Right.
And so the publisher never even sees that there was somebody interested in, or even that they read their content. So I think what's critical is having a direct relationship with your audience, owning that audience. And email is the newsletter is a value exchange for getting people to give up their information.
Yep. Yep. I think you're
I
right
also I
on.
also think that like the email environment, as far as like a an environment for reading information or gathering information, I find it very compelling. The first thing I do in the morning is I open up my inbox. I am in my inbox all day long, with the exception of a few hours where I'm trying to not be, right? But otherwise, I'm in my inbox all day long, from morning till bedtime. And I am engaged in that channel. So you're hitting people or reaching people where they are, which I think is
Yeah.
important.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I guess as we're kind of coming to a close, what wisdom and advice, from where you're sitting, because I think it's useful when somebody's kind of in a realm of specialization and kind of a genius in their field, which, I already called you Einstein. Now I called you a genius. So,
Yeah, yeah. This is the best call ever. I love this interview.
um,
Let's
I
do
just
this
think
weekly.
I think it's, yeah, let's do it, man. We meet all the time. I'll encourage you. I think that you have a perspective that is extremely valuable from where you're sitting. So if you have any advice for publishers, traditional publishers who are kind of facing this new world and trying to understand how they fit, what advice would you have from where you're sitting?
Yeah, traditional publishers. I would say the number one thing is like, um, make the newsletters compelling and more visible to your audience. It's shocking to me when I go to a publication's website and I have to like search for the newsletter sign up button, right? It's like, what? Why is that so difficult to find? And then the second thing is, they're so focused on in the newsletter itself, basically getting people to come back to their website. They're already engaged in the email channel. They're already engaged with your brand. Why not keep them there? Um, and if the answer is that you're just really trying to get people back to your website so that you can generate more ad impressions and drive revenue, then like you need to rethink your whole model. Because why not try to monetize them where they're at, where they're already engaging with you?
Yes.
And if you need help, strategy or thinking that through, like I'm happy to just be an ear and maybe talk it out strategically, unrelated to well put and how we might help. But to me, it just seems like there's a big opportunity just within those two things. The other thing I will say, Johnny, is like more broadly, I write a newsletter on LinkedIn about entrepreneurship. I think it's called Confessions of an Entrepreneur. And I speak a lot about like the journey as an entrepreneur and some of the trials and tribulations associated with being an entrepreneur. I've been doing it for a very long time. There are days where I wish that I had a more standard, career job paycheck. But anybody who wants to, hear the truth from, an old grizzly veteran of entrepreneurship, they'll get that from me. So I think that's a lot of the wisdom that I carry is from years of being an entrepreneur. I successfully sold and exited my last two companies, but I also have failed, countless times before that. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful, man. Um, I loved sitting with you, Craig, and I appreciate you spending the
me
time with
too,
me.
Johnny.
And I think it's great benefit for the people who are watching as we navigate this complicated world, and try to understand how to leverage the value of audience and community. And I think newsletter is, gosh, man, I'm just, even my experience on Substack, newsletter is just such a powerful mechanism. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, I agree, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing in the media space for folks. Love your Substack, and yeah, I look forward to continuing to have these conversations with you.
Excellent, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Take it easy.
Thanks, everybody.